Hey guys. So I guess I wanted to make a record about where I'm at right now and my relationship to my gender identity because I feel like I have made a lot of critical revelations in the past little while that are very important to helping me understand just exactly who I am. So while I was home, I started looking through old photographs of myself, and I feel like I have two spirits living inside of me. Um, there are a lot of pictures of Rochelle, which is my given name, and looking at her, I see her and I know her and I understand her. But looking back a little bit further, I found pictures of another person who came before her, who is Shay. So this is the first one. Would have been about 12 years old. I don't know if you can see that, but that's Shay. A little bit older, same kind of outfit. Got my mix match Converse on, old t-shirt, bad haircut. Yeah, and this would have been around grade 8. 13 was such a good age. And yeah, I don't know what you see, but to me, that's a boy. It's a little boy. It's Shay. Say hi. Yeah, and finding those was really critical for me because I guess I realized that there was a period when this person who was growing up stopped or morphed into someone else, which was Rochelle. And now I feel like I am rediscovering this person again who really is this kind of like shy, socially awkward, confused little boy, except that instead of actually being 12, 13, 14, this person is now in the body of a 21-year-old woman, and it's a lot more difficult for me to interact with the world at this point, especially because as Rochelle, I feel fairly mature and I feel fairly competent at navigating social situations, and I feel like I have a much firmer identity. And Shay really kind of missed out on those formative years and is kind of jumping from like 14 to 21, and I feel like I'm having to relearn a lot of behaviors in a new gender when I really missed out on critical formative years, especially around sex. Actually, sex is a huge one, but we don't really need to get into it. So, yeah, and I suppose finding this inner history was really important because I feel that a lot of people who have met me recently only understand me as having this history of femininity. So to find these roots, to find these like inner history of masculinity is really comforting to me. It makes me feel that maybe I'm not crazy, that maybe this isn't just a weird phase, and that unlike what most people see, I didn't just kind of make this sort of like weird sudden switch into another gender for no particular reason. So that's very comforting. And I guess when I start looking at this and looking at pictures of myself and I try to place my gender identity on a timeline, I really realized that it wasn't until I was about 16 years old, when I had my first boyfriend, that I realized that I really took on femininity. And I feel like don't want to blame everything on my boyfriend, because maybe I do that a lot. But I feel that without it ever being said, just because I was a female bodied person dating a male bodied person, that suddenly, without anyone ever saying anything to me, I felt obligated to take on the role of heterosexual female and to take on all the attributes of femininity that came along with that, when none of that was ever particularly natural. The weird part is that I feel that I did a fairly good job of mastering that gender, um, but it was never home. Um, and it's weird how quickly things change. I feel so much more comfortable and so much more like myself looking like this. And right now, my relationship to my femaleness is that I know that it exists and I'm aware of it, and like Rochelle and I are cool with each other. We know where we stand, but I really feel like Rochelle is more like my roommate. We exist in the same spaces, we inhabit the same body, but that's not me. That's another person. And yeah, and I guess what keeps me from identifying as trans and wanting more to identify as genderqueer or outside of the gender binary is that I never felt like I experienced what has been described to me as a typical trans experience. I never always felt as though I was in the wrong body, and at times I have been fairly comfortable and fairly okay with my femininity, and I do have that history, and it wasn't necessarily that jarring to me. Like, I can and capable of acting out those roles and feeling okay in them for the most part. But I also have another history, which is Shay, which is what I'm acting out right now. So I feel almost like I have two genders, and I feel that understanding that duality is very important. Um, I think that what I need to do is find a way to intertwine these two people, Rochelle and Shay, because currently they are very separate, and I feel that I only have space to live out one or the other, and I think that I need to find a way to amalgamate my boy and girl self so that eventually, one day, I can be fully complete and comfortable with myself and the body that I'm in. So yeah. Or maybe we just all need to finally agree that the gender binary system is bullshit and move on. That would be cool too. Alright, bye.